You guys asked for it. I delivered it. Since day one, you guys been asking if I can make a Deathproof set viable. Recently, I put out a community poll and I said, do you want a rant video on Deathproof? Because the set itself makes no goddamn sense. And it still doesn't, but we made it work anyway. I'm actually going to bring you two videos about the Deathproof set, and this is the first one. This is a firepower Deathproof set that I was able to gold Boomtown on. The set is terrible. It's not good. I really wouldn't run this all the time, but cool thing about it is most people have 3 pieces of Deathproof. You specifically need the pants in this instance, but everything else is kind of interchangeable. So we're going to talk about the build, its pros and cons. This isn't going to be a very long drawn out video because there's going to be 2 of them anyway. But the next one I'm much more excited about. So if you guys like guides like this, gear and gameplay, think about subscribing. It really does help out the channel. And if you guys want to check me out at twitch.tv/RoundOOTIKTAKOO, we'll be live today helping people with some CT carries if they need them. Lastly, all I want to say is there are no goddamn dedicated drops in this game. Don't fall for clickbait. Let's get into the video. So here we go. This is the firepower based Deathproof set. Now, the reason this set makes no goddamn sense, and I was going to make a rant on it anyway, is because Deathproof is a means to an end. Well, not Deathproof itself. Boulderdash is a means to an end. The ability is hot dog water. It is not good whatsoever. If you could cancel it early, that would be much better. If you could control it more easier, that would be better. But none of those things exist, so therefore the build is kind of eh. Though the ability is kind of eh. This build does a lot of friggin' damage, but it's just the survivability that becomes an issue. I'm going to talk about exactly what we're using, what armor perks you need, and a few tips and tricks about Boulderdash along the way. So let's get into this, starting with the weapons. You're going to notice that this is basically the statue set with the Boulderdash build. And in team play, this set might net you a little more DPS because you don't have to worry about survivability and a well-timed Boulderdash as much as you have to do in solo when you're playing with a team, because not everything is one-shotting you or focus firing you or anything along those lines. So you could be a little out of position and still get away nicely. And because this build is similar to the statue set, we're again going to be using the Fatal Symbiote with Dark Sacrifice and Ultimate Damage Link. This provides a ton of damage. You're going to be up close anyway, and Ultimate Damage Link will kill any of the stragglers that are near the main target you're shooting. This provides much needed AoE with this single target build. So that's the weapon we're using. We occasionally switch to this. You can also use the Amber Volt, and you can also use the Bad Juju, the Voodoo Matchmaker. All 4 of those weapons do work with this build, just this is the best one of the bunch, so this is what I'm using. Now, next, the armor. Like I said, this video is going to be a little bit shorter. We have just a purple mask here, ceremonial mask. Bonus firepower, status power, close range damage. You don't need really cooldown reduction in this build, so status power or long range damage is what you're looking for, but this is just the best I have. You got to remember, guys, even with 500 hours in the game, just the inventory being the way it is, I rarely clean it out and check all of the items because I'm just farming so many missions. It's when I'm looking for something specific to replace something, that's when I really look at my gear. So here we have this with Perseverance and Sharp Eye. The reason we're not using the Deathproof mask, although in the footage I changed it out, is because Primal Weakness does absolutely nothing for us. That ability in general is very, very bad. Even on Broodmothers, it only nets you a 25,000 damage increase. It's not good. Primal Weakness is a terrible, terrible perk. You can get much better ones elsewhere. So that is why we're using the purple mask. That forces us to use the gloves here, which we lose the bonus firepower roll in the first attribute, but we get Kingslayer instead. So it is a nice trade-off. With Vampiric Mag, because we're going to be running Golem as well. There is a small trick we're going to talk about in just a second. but I don't have the boots to pull it off. If you guys want to try it, feel free. But there's a way to get 85% damage reduction with this build and still be able to gold things. I just don't have the boots to pull it off, but I'll show you it in just a second. Next, we have the Deathproof chest armor with Captain Hunter and Primal Armor. This comes with bonus firepower, close range damage, and healing received. Primal Armor is part of that setup that we can use to get maximum armor resistance. This ability is pretty nice considering our Boulder Dash is on a 1 or 2 second cooldown. This ability is basically always up, which gives you, at this case, what would be at 6, 12, 135,000 extra armor all the time. It's a nice ability. Although you'd want more DPS, because we always want more DPS, this does help you survive. And once they fix the one-shot mechanics, this will become a lot more valuable because they don't give a about your armor. Next, we have Primal Chain Gun and Tainted Blood. This is the big bad piece you need. Primal Chain Gun is the best weapon damage ability, probably close to in the game. I mean, like weapon stacking. I don't know what everything has, but an extra 75 and with our skill tree, 145% weapon damage on a 2-second cooldown is kind of crazy. That allows us to shoot things really hard, really fast, and really just rip through missions. Primal Chain Gun is awesome. The only issue is it's on the Boulder Dash ability. And Boulder Dash, like I said previously, will get you into some really bad spots. Then we have Tainted Blood on here because we're running Golem and it's going to be bleeding them as well. But you don't have to run Tainted Blood here. You can run Sharp Eye, you can run Bloodlust, you can run something else here if you don't have this perk. Next, like I said, we're on the gloves with Kingslayer and Vamp Mag. Vamp Mag, we don't need the extra ammo. It's just to kill the reload speed. We already have enough downtime with the Boulder Dash startup animation, the run animation, and the slam animation that if you need to reload, but you Boulder Dash, not realizing that you only have 1 bullet left, that entire duration you're running, they're shooting at you, that slam animation, they're shooting at you, and then you turn around and you need to get a quick kill to get your healing going, and you need to reload, you're gonna die. It's how I die 95% of the time with this build. Then lastly, our boots are just Bleeding Impulse and Golem of Death to keep our Golem up as long as possible. Very, very similar to the statue set. Well, one change that you can make, and when they fix the one-shot mechanic, I probably will update this build, is this. I would jump over to Dr. Zahidi over here, and I would take out something like the bleed damage, and I would put mitigation from death. Now, what mitigation from death does is gives us 4, 8, 12, 120,000 armor from this ability after you kill 3 enemies for 10 seconds. Our base armor right now is, let's just say 70k. So 7, 8, 9, that's 190,000 armor from just this and our base armor. Then you have this perk, which doubles it. So you end up at around 550,000 armor, which is 85% damage mitigation. It's actually too much. Another thing you could try once they fix the mechanic is we'll be at 120,000 armor with just these 2 perks. And since we're on a 1-second cooldown, you could take Tainted Blood away and do this perk here. This will give us 45% resistance at all times, basically. So if you find yourself getting one shot, I've tested this in Coliseum and the difference is really, really big. And then you get one shot anyway because the game's broken, but the difference is phenomenal. It really, really is. You'll go from getting half hit from an alpha to like maybe an 1/8. It's a big difference, and this works really well in the build too. So this is just a small little guide with some gameplay in the background of a Boulder Dash Deathproof set that you can use because I'm sure you have some of this, most of this. The main thing you need is Primal Chain Gun and one of the 4 guns that I mentioned. You need Ultimate Damage Link, but you can swap that if you're playing with friends. You don't need that if you're playing with friends. You can go with Killing Spree or whatever you have. Just use your best stuff. This build is really wonky. It's really hard to pull off, but we were able to do it, so I figured, and do it on the hardest mission, so I figured at least it's a small video worthy. But before we end, let's just talk about the skills that we are using. We are using Golem to keep us alive for 65% incoming damage mitigation, plus the 15 or the 25% bleed damage that we get because we have bleeding impulse on there. That is the main reason we're using it, to keep us alive and for the bleed. Then we're using reflect bullets. Now in the footage, you'll see what I do with this ability is I cast it and then auto cancel it. So you can do it like this. So we boulder dash, we're at 145% extra weapon damage, and then we press this for another 45%. And then since I instant cancel it, it automatically goes on cooldown, as you can see here. And although it's very rare that it happens, you can actually use auto reflect or reflect as a get out of jail free card, especially with this close range build. If you're playing on human maps, getting shot in the face from 40 meters away isn't fun. So you can just pop this up. You'll lose out on a few seconds and then just walk towards the enemy and then drop it, and then you should be able to kill them or heal from them or something like that. And then lastly, we have Boulder Dash in the build as well on a 2.2 second cooldown. You don't need it any shorter than this because the buff lasts for 10 seconds anyway. If you could somehow get it to a 10-second, that would be the best. But for now, that's what we have. Then lastly, our skill tree looks like this. We just go up here. We're taking SMG and assault damage perks. Then we have champion for our golem and our auto cancel reflect ability. This perk is very, very nice. It scales very well with mitigation from death and our primal armor from our boulder dash. This is probably needed in the build because again, you're out of position all the time. Then we have down here, increased mag size, bounty hunter, and then altered charge. The reason this build works is because of this perk. Weapon damage by 70% on top of primal chain gun, which gets you another 75% for a total of 145% extra weapon damage, and then another 45% right here. When you have to burn something fast and you use boulder dash into 5 enemies and then you get out of the animation, you pop golem or reflect, you're going to be killing bosses in literal seconds, in legitimately less than a second sometimes. If you're lucky enough to have the boss with a couple of enemies around him and they link up with your ultimate damage link, you will literally kill them in less than a second. It's kind of crazy. The only issue with this entire build is the boulder dash ability. And that's why I'm excited about the next video more, because you have a lot more survivability in it. And it is like a true AP boulder dash ability, or maybe even we'll try a hybrid one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. The AP version of this build is next. I feel like that's what you guys want more anyway, so I might take a little more time focusing on that one. And I've run it twice and like tweaking it here and there, and we've been really, really successful with it, being able to gold missions with boulder dash. And PS, it doesn't have moaning winds in the build. You can use it, sure, but as you guys know, I hate that friggin' ability as is, or that mod as is, and we tried to never use them in our builds. In fact, I might make 3 videos with this, but because the armor is rolled the way it is with bonus firepower on everything, maybe this is the one build that you can make hybrid. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you on the next one very, very soon. If you guys want to see the stream, twitch.tv/roundedtiktak. I'd love to see you there. We're live right now. I'll see you guys on the next one. Tic Tac out.